Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Friends, before going into the details of the war, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please support by subscribing and turning on the notification bell. We are a strong community. Russia has caused over $37 billion damage to Ukraine's environment according to data from the operational headquarters for recording the environmental crimes committed by the Russian Federation. The environment of Ukraine has suffered losses of over 1.35 trillion hryvnias, $37 billion details. As a result of the actions of the Russian Federation, hazardous substances are released into the air every day due to forest fires, the burning of oil products and fires at industrial facilities. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the number of such emissions has exceeded 67 million tons, compared to 2.2 million tons in 2021 and 2020. It is noted that 3 million hectares of forests have already been affected, which is almost a third of Ukraine's forest resources. Some of them have been lost forever. About a third of the territory of Ukraine will need mine clearance, which will take at least 10 years. The threat exists not only to the environment of Ukraine, but to the whole of Europe as the war has caused a number of environmental problems. One of the biggest dangers now is the mined dam at the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant and nuclear blackmail at the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The State Ecological Inspectorate of Ukraine has given an estimate of 530.2 million hryvnias, $14.7 million of damage caused by the Russian occupiers to the environment as a result of hostilities in Zhytomyr Oblast. A total $4.3 billion of damage has been caused to Ukraine's agriculture by the Russian invasion, with the largest losses being caused by the destruction of or damage to land. Why Turkey profits from the grain deal? Working at full speed, Turkish companies can gain additional income from the work of the UN grain initiative in the Ukrainian ports. But how exactly do they make money? Turkish companies could be some of the key recipients of additional profit after the launch of the grain initiative. Therefore, Turkey is interested in the preservation and development of shipping in the Ukrainian segment of the Black Sea. Andriy Klimenko from the Institute for Black Sea Strategic Studies highlighted the fact that 32% of the ships that left the port of Chornomorsk as part of the grain initiative in September belonged to shipowners from Turkey. Sources of NV Business in the field of maritime logistics say that Turkish grain traders, who get to buy Ukrainian grain at a large discount, are also very active. They accumulate product in Constanța, Romania and then resell it in large batches on more lucrative terms. According to official UN data, Turkey is one of the two major grain buyers that comes from Ukraine under the grain initiative. Therefore, it's possible that Turkey's additional gain and President Erdogan's political profit can be the best guarantee of increasing and expanding exports through Ukrainian seaports. Russia-Ukraine war. 9 Syrian mercenaries KLLED and Liwa al-Quds Brigade join war alongside Russians. Reliable sources have informed SOR that Liwa al-Quds Brigade has engaged in fighting alongside the Russians in the Russian war on Ukraine, while the 25th Division has been fighting since mid-September 2022. Syrian observatory sources have reported that 4 Syrians fighting with Russians were killed at the end of last October and early November in Ukraine. Accordingly, the death toll of Syrian fighters since the beginning of their participation in the Russian war on Ukraine has risen to 9. It is worth noting that the number of Syrians recruited by Russia in its war against Ukraine, and transferred there, is nearly 2,000 Syrians. On October 4, very reliable sources of the Special Task Forces of the 25th Division informed SOR that 5 Syrian fighters of the division, led by the Brigadier General Suhail al-Hassan, also known as the Tiger, were killed on Sunday, October 2, in military operations on Kherson frontline. According to the sources, the 5 Syrian fighters were killed in an attack waged by Ukrainian forces on northeast of Kherson province, in which they took control of new areas on the right bank of Dnieper River. Accordingly, Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, SOR, documented the first group of fatalities among Syrian regime forces since the beginning of their participation in the Russian war on Ukraine, According to Syrian observatory sources, the Russian-backed 25th Division forces fight alongside Russian forces in their battles in Donetsk and Southern Front in Kherson. On September 21, sources inside the Russian-backed 25th Division, Special Operations, which is led by Brigadier General Suhail al-Hassan known as al-Namr, Tiger, reported that hundreds of the division's members, who have been in Ukraine for months, started participating in the fighting operations led by Russia against Ukraine. According to reliable sources, the members started participating in the military operations within areas held by Russia in eastern of Ukraine, after they were moved from Syria to Russia through Hamamim airport, and received military exercises during the past months. Moreover, many of them talk Russian after undergoing military courses in Russia last year before the start of the Russian military operations in Ukraine. On September 15, sources confirmed that the Syrian mercenaries, recruited by Russia to fight in its war against Ukraine, were still in Russia and some of them are in eastern Ukraine. The mission of the Syrian mercenaries was to protect their positions. None of the Syrian fighters had been involved in the military operations between Russia and Ukraine so far. The sources added that the lack of mastery of the Russian language by mercenaries was the biggest obstacle to their participation in the first ranks of the fighting. Very few of the Syrian mercenaries speak Russian fluently. The number of Syrian mercenaries in Russia is 2,000, according to sources. On July 27, sources confirmed that Syrian mercenaries, whose numbers are estimated at 2,000 mercenaries and were recruited by Russia in its war against Ukraine and transferred there, have not yet participated in Russian military operations in Ukraine. Therefore, no Syrian mercenaries were killed in the Russian war on Ukraine so far. On April 1, reliable sources told SOR that batches of Syrian mercenaries accomplished intensive military training courses under the supervision of tens of Russian officers, regime officers and regime-backed commanders, where they are now ready to be transported to Ukraine, precisely the eastern part, to join the war alongside Russian forces. A batch of those mercenaries were transported to Ukraine, but SOR could not verify this information. On the other hand, intensive military training courses were underway for Syrians who chose to be mercenaries in return for financial incentives. It is worth noting that these training drills escalated after the return of officers of the 25th Division, the Palestinian Liwa al-Quds, al-Ba'ath Battalion and the 5th Corps who participated in the reconnaissance tour in East Ukraine. These officers, whose number approximated 260, had visited East Ukraine in mid-March and stayed for days before they returned to Syria. 20% of Ukraine's nature reserves and 3 million hectares of forests affected by war. 20% of Ukraine's nature conservation areas are suffering from the war, and 3 million hectares of forests have also been damaged due to hostilities. 8 nature reserves and 10 national parks remain under Russian occupation. In particular, 2.9 million hectares of the Emerald Network are at risk. This is a significant part of the ecological network of Europe and it is protected by the legislation of the European Union and Council of Europe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.